You've probably been told that cheap bikes are junk, that if it's not new, shiny, or packed with tech, it's not worth riding. But here's the truth. Some of the best motorcycles ever made are the ones nobody talks about. This list isn't for show-offs. It's for smart riders who care about reliability, simplicity, and value. We're counting down 7 cheap motorcycles that are way better than people think. No hype, no fluff, just bikes that deliver. Let's bust some myths and save you serious money. Number 7. Kawasaki W650, the Retro Twin. That's not a Triumph, but might be better. You've probably seen one and thought it was an old Bonneville, but look closer. That's not a Triumph. It's a Kawasaki W650, and it's one of the most underrated vintage-style bikes ever made. Because while everyone was chasing the modern retro craze, Kawasaki quietly beat them to it and built a bike that was more reliable, often cheaper, and just as beautiful. Let's start with the engine. A 67 fix air-cooled bevel-driven vertical twin. Yes, bevel-driven like old Ducati engines. That little tower on the side of the motor, that's not just for show. It's a real mechanical link that drives the camshaft. It's rare, overbuilt, and buttery smooth. And unlike most modern retros, this isn't a fuel-injected fake. The W650 came with old-school carbs, a kickstarter, and electric start, and a true analog feel. But don't let the looks fool you. This bike isn't just a garage queen. The W650 has one of the smoothest engines in its class. It makes about 50 horsepower. Not fast, but enough for highway cruising and back-row fun, and the low-end torque makes it easy to ride in any gear. The handling surprisingly sharp for a bike that looks like it's from the 60s. Narrow tires, light frame, and upright seating make it nimble around town and steady at speed. So, why did it flop? Timing. Kawasaki released the W650 in the late 90s before retro bikes were cool again. The market didn't know what to do with it. Meanwhile, Triumph relaunched the Bonneville in the early 2000s with massive marketing behind it, and the W650 got buried. But here's the upside. You can find used W650HS today for $3,000 in excellent shape, often with tasteful mods or restorations. And because they were overbuilt and underridden, most examples have low miles and tons of life left. Parts still available. Community. Loyal and helpful. Reliability. Classic Kawasaki. Nearly bulletproof. The W650 is the kind of bike that makes strangers ask questions at gas stations. It looks like money, rides like a dream, and doesn't need constant babysitting like many old Brit bikes. But if you're looking for a bike that redefined what a beginner motorcycle could be and still gets ignored because it's too sensible. Number 6. Honda CBR 250R. The beginner bike that's actually built to last. You've probably heard of the Ninja 250 or the newer CBR 500R, but buried between them is the Honda CBR 250R. And it might just be one of the most underappreciated beginner bikes of the last 15 years. Why? Because it didn't try to be flashy. It just focused on doing everything right. Let's start with what matters. This isn't a high-revving screamer like the old Ninja 250. The CBR 250R uses a single-cylinder 249cc engine, fuel-injected, water-cooled, and surprisingly torquey down low. That makes it perfect for real-world riding, commuting, backrow fun, and even light touring. It's not going to win a drag race, but it'll get you to 80 more on the highway, and it'll do it while sipping fuel up to 77 members in real-world tests. Here's what separates it from most beginner bikes. Refinement. The throttle response is smooth. The clutch is light. The brakes, especially on ABS models, are precise. It doesn't feel cheap, or buzzy like many of its rivals. And maintenance, it's Honda easy. Valve adjustments are rare, and the bike is built to take abuse without falling apart. But here's the problem. People ignored it. When it launched in 2011, everyone was comparing it to the Ninja 250 and saying, why just one cylinder? What they missed is that single-cylinder simplicity works. Fewer parts, less complexity, and more usable power where riders actually need it. Honda didn't build this to impress on spec sheets. They built it to last 100,000 miles with basic care. The CBR 250R is also one of the lightest full-size bikes around at just over 350 levels wet. It's easy to maneuver, park, and handle in low-speed situations. Add in Honda's legendary reliability, and the fact that many were bought by older, sensible riders, and you've got a used market full of pristine examples, often under $2,000. That's insane value. Here's the kicker. This bike was used as a training platform in MSF courses across the US and other countries. Why? Because it's tough. It can be dropped, scuffed, redlined, and still keep going. It's what real reliability looks like. But if you thought the CBR 250 Rans was the ultimate underdog, wait till you meet a cruiser that even Harley riders respect, and it costs a fraction of what you'd expect. Number 5. Yamaha 5-Star 650. The cruiser Harley riders don't laugh at. If you're cruiser curious but don't want to drop Harley-Davidson money, you've probably looked at all the usual suspects. Overpriced used Sportsters, unreliable Chinese clones, or metric cruisers with weird styling. But hiding in that pile is the Yamaha V-Star 650. A bike that gets almost no respect in showrooms, but earns plenty of it on the road. Here's what makes it different. The V-Star 650 looks, feels, and rides like a classic American cruiser. Long, low, and heavy enough to feel planted, but it doesn't cost you your life savings. And it won't punish you with constant wrenching. The 649cc air-cooled V-twin is as simple as it gets. Push rods, carbs, shaft drive, no chain to clean, no fragile electronics, just gas go, and maybe adjust the valves every now and then. The styling surprisingly legit. Yamaha knew exactly who they were targeting. Riders who wanted Harley vibes without Harley baggage. That meant fat fenders, chrome everywhere, and proportions that look right. It doesn't scream budget bike, and that's why so many former Harley riders have secretly praised it. In fact, in the early 2000s, the V-Star 650 Custom and Classic models were among the most popular midsize cruisers in America. But no one talks about them now, and that's the opportunity. These bikes are now overlooked. You can find clean V-Star 650 seconds for $2,000, $3,000 all day long, often with saddlebags, windshields, and upgrades already installed. Many were garage kept by older riders, barely broken in. They're also extremely beginner-friendly with a super low seat height, 27 in, forgiving clutch, and relaxed ergonomics. But here's the hidden value, the shaft drive. You rarely see it on bikes this cheap. No chain maintenance, no grime, just smooth power delivery and fewer parts to fail. Try finding that on a modern sub-$4,000 bike. Good luck. The V-Star 650 won't win races and it won't draw crowds at bike nights. But if you want affordable cruiser charm with actual substance, not plastic chrome and paper-thin parts, this is the real deal. Next up, a forgotten Honda dual sport that quietly outlives everything else in its class. Number 4. Honda XR 650 Albanian Lex. The dual sport that just won't die. You want rugged. You want simple. You want a bike that'll get you into the wild and back again without needing a laptop to diagnose it. Enter the Honda XR 650 Albanian Lex. A bike that looks like it was forgotten by time, but is still one of the most brutally reliable machines ever put on two wheels. Let's start with the basics. Honda has been building the XR 650 Albanian Lex with almost zero changes since 1993. Why? Because they nailed it. It's powered by a big air-cooled 644cc CS single-cylinder engine with a basic carburetor and almost no electronics. No ABS, no ride modes, no traction control. Just torque, metal, and a frame built to take hits. You could ride it through a war zone and it'd still start the next morning. This bike is legendary among serious adventurers and off-roaders. Why? Because there's less to break, less to maintain, and more than enough performance to get the job done. Whether you're commuting, trail riding, or crossing deserts, the XR 650 Albanian Lex shrugs it all off, and it's street legal right out of the box, which means no conversion hassles. You might be thinking, isn't it outdated? Yes, gloriously outdated, but that's what makes it so good. It's the analog tool in a digital world. Need to fix it in the middle of nowhere. A few hand tools and some patience will do. Dropped it in a rocky stream. No problem. The thing is basically made of tank-grade metal and indifference. And here's the hidden gem because this bike has a cult following. There's a ton of aftermarket support. Want to turn it into a Baja beast? Easy. Want to soften it up for street use? Done. Want to ride it stock for the next 15 years? You can. There's a reason some riders have taken XR 650Ls past 100,000 miles with basic maintenance. So why don't more people buy it? Simple. It's not pretty. It's tall. It's kickback ugly in a dirt bike way. It doesn't market well in an era of sleek adventure bikes with TFT screens and smartphone integration. But guess what? The XR 650L doesn't care. It just keeps going. And the used market full of deals. Riders sell them for $3,000, often with bags, skid plates, and upgrades already installed. You're buying into a machine that outlasts trends. Number 3. Suzuki Bandit 1200. The street brawler that nobody talks about. You want torque. You want speed. You want a bike that feels like it's constantly daring you to twist the throttle just a bit more. Welcome to the Suzuki Bandit 1200. A raw, underrated beast that got left behind in the age of electronics and over-design. And that's exactly why it's a steal today. At its core, the Bandit 1200 is a muscle bike with sport bike DNA. Suzuki took the old GSXR 1100 engine, detuned it for the street, and stuffed it into a steel frame with more comfort and fewer plastics. The result? 1157 cc's air oil-cooled inline-4 that puts out real torque, the kind you feel in your chest from just 3,000 revolutions per minute. No waiting for power bands, no peaky delivery, just twist and go. This thing is brutally effective in the real world. You don't need to wring its neck to get moving. It pulls hard, effortlessly in any gear. It'll cruise, tour, commute, or blow past traffic like it doesn't exist. And with a 5.3-gallon tank, it's got range, too. Riders have taken these across continents and back. So, why isn't it everywhere? Because the Bandit 1200 was never built to impress at the dealership. It didn't have cutting-edge suspension, fancy electronics, or a track pedigree. It was a street bike and proud of it. Riders who bought them usually kept them quietly, which means they never really gained mainstream hype. And now they're criminally undervalued. You can score a clean Bandit $1,200 today for $2,500 to $4,000 depending on year and condition. Many are still stock, others tastefully modded with better forks, exhausts, or bars. The best part, these engines are known to be indestructible. With regular oil changes and basic care, they'll cross the 100K mark without drama. Try saying that about a modern superbike. And unlike modern machines overloaded with sensors and proprietary tech, the Bandit is simple. It's analog. It's fixable. You want to work on your own bike without needing a laptop. The Bandit says no problem. Bottom line, the Bandit 1200 gives you leader bike power, real-world usability, and old-school toughness. All for the price of a beginner bike. It's not pretty. It's not trendy, but it works. Number 2. Honda NC700X. The commuter bike that's smarter than it looks. On paper, it looks like a boring commuter. In person, it's even plainer. But the Honda NC700X is quietly one of the smartest motorcycles ever built. And because nobody's hyping it, you can snag one for a fraction of what it's worth. It's not flashy. It doesn't rev high, but it's pure logic on two wheels. And in the long run, that wins. Let's start with what makes it so different. The engine. The North Carolina 700X uses a 670cc parallel twin that's derived, no joke, from a Honda Fit car engine. It's tuned for low-end torque, not high RPM thrills. The red line just 6,500 revolutions per minute. That makes some riders laugh until they realize this engine delivers real torque from down low and gets an insane 6,075 mpg. In real-world riding, you get the efficiency of a scooter with the road presence of a full-size bike. And now for the real mind-blower. The fuel tank isn't where you think it is. Open up the tank-looking thing between your knees and surprise. It's a massive storage compartment, big enough for a full-face helmet or your groceries. The actual gas tank, it's hidden under the seat. This isn't a gimmick, it's design thinking. Honda knew this bike would be used by commuters, delivery riders, and practical-minded motorcyclists, so they made it make sense. Comfort, top tier, upright seating, plush suspension, wind protection, and predictable handling. Whether you're stuck in traffic or carving back roads, the NC700X feels stable and stress-free. And if you can find one with a dual-clutch transmission DCT, you don't even need to shift, just twist and go. No clutch lever, no stalling. It's a gamechanger, especially in urban chaos. So, why isn't it more popular? Because it doesn't look exciting. It's not aggressive. It doesn't scream performance. Riders chasing image pass it by. But that just means prices stay low. You can find NC700Xs for $3,000, often with low mileage and thoughtful upgrades. And with Honda reliability, these bikes go the distance and then some. This is a bike you buy when you're done trying to impress anyone and just want something that works flawlessly every single day. But now we're getting into serious oddball territory. Number 1. Buell XP12S Lightning, the American street fighter no one saw coming. Think Harley-Davidson can't build a sport bike. Technically, they didn't, but Eric Buell did. And what he created with the BU XP12S Lightning is still one of the most overlooked, misunderstood machines to ever come out of the US. Forget everything you think you know about cruisers and sport bikes. This thing breaks all the rules. At its core, the XP12S is powered by a 103cc 5-twin. Basically, a hot-rodded Harley engine stuffed into a short wheelbase aluminum-framed chassis with a 50 inches wheelbase that's shorter than a 250cc CS Ninja, but with torque like a freight train. You get over 100 lb-ft of torque usable from idle, and it redlines at just 6,500 revolutions per minute. This bike doesn't scream, it growls, and it launches like nothing else. The genius of Buell wasn't just the engine. It was how he built around it. The frame holds the fuel. The swing arm holds the oil. The disc brake is perimeter mounted to the rim for better cooling and less unsprung. Wait. It's engineering that looks insane on paper until you ride it and realize how nimble and planted it feels. The XP12S Lightning is a street fighter in the truest sense. No fluff, all attitude, upright seating, wide bars, and immediate throttle response. It's raw mechanical and visceral, the kind of bike that makes you grin like a maniac every time you leave a stoplight. And yet almost no one buys them. Why? Because Buell as a brand disappeared in 2009 and Harley owners didn't know what to make of them. Sport bike guys didn't trust the V-Win engine and dealers didn't know how to sell something so weird. So prices tanked and now they're a used market gold mine. You can find clean XP12 seconds models for $3,000 to $4,500 often with tasteful mods. Parts are still around thanks to online communities and Harley crossover. And if you're worried about reliability, these bikes are simple and mechanical, easy to maintain with the right hands. If you want something nobody else at your local bike night is riding, something with real soul, serious performance, and a story to tell, the XP12 seconds is your ticket. The next one though, it's a forgotten ADV machine that came before the big adventure bike boom, and it might be one of the most practical long-distance bikes you've never heard of. Secret Gen 3 is coming.